Hi everyone, I have a super special guest today on my podcast who has built a brand for himself called Not a Dubai Broker. I finally found somebody in Dubai who's not a real estate broker. And the amazing thing is he managed to grow a following on Instagram to 15,000 followers, which honestly is huge, giving real estate advice and not being a broker. I think a lot of us who are real estate brokers would be very jealous to find out how he has done it. So welcome, and I think now would be the perfect time for you to reveal your real name.
So my name is Keith. Finally. Thanks so much for having me, Alessia. And I also have been following for a long time. I think you are one of the first few people I followed when I started my account, just because I think it's so important to educate, but also to bring fresh perspective into real estate and also the workings of it. So also for me, I'm a bit starstruck. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. For me, what I love about your account is you are not a real estate broker, but you give such valuable advice that nobody can find anywhere. And this is why I think your following grew so much. You give true value without having in the back of your mind, I need to make commission. And this is a big difference of being somebody who's just giving advice, and you said it's just a hobby, you don't really make money of it, while somebody else who's just trying to sell to you. So that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast. I hope you'll be able to share such advice and your knowledge with the people who will be watching, because as I said, it's very, very difficult to find somebody who gives impartial advice.
Thank you so much. I try. I mean, I am also researching and learning as I go. I think there is a lot of good knowledge in Dubai. It's a very publicly available, democratized data set. So, me being very curious about the industry, I just really like to do my research and share what I learned. And also form opinions as well, because I think there's just so many developers, new areas. I think it's always important to form your own judgment as well.
And please tell us how many properties in Dubai you have invested. Have you made money off them? And you said one property gives you 10% rent return, which is huge.
Yeah. So I'm still learning, still quite a new journey. So definitely a lot more to learn from people like yourself who are experts. I have bought 6 properties, of which I've sold 2. So far, so now I have 4. One at original price. I'll tell you more about this. Is a good story. A second, I just closed it last week with a 46% rent, return on equity in 15 months, which I'm super happy about.
And is it easy to find products that you can make such a return on? Because we see a lot of real estate brokers, I think they have the same tagline, make 30% in how long? In the first 6 months or something,
after
right?
you sign your SPA.
Exactly, and honestly, I really don't
No,
like that.
precisely.
I never promise anything to anybody. As you said, you were maybe lucky to sell something at original price even, right?
Precisely.
I have a lot of clients who actually lose money when it's still off plan.
100%.
So how did you manage to find a product where you made such a return?
Very good. So I think a lot of it is taking calculated risk. So this product actually, for me, when I did my math, I was, looking at handover, which is not yet done, like a 640K sale price, but I got offered for 700K like last week. So for me, it's really about taking very calculated risk, doing your homework about what the location is, who the developer is, who the contractor is. Look at official websites to know where future infrastructural works or where plots would be.
So which location was this project?
𝗔𝗯ance. So
okay.
just a 2-minute walk behind the current metro station.
And can you tell us, because I know you do a lot of research in developers,
Yeah.
why would you say that 𝗔𝗯ance is a good area versus, okay, where did you not make money? Which area?
JVC.
JVC, okay, that's very interesting.
That's why it's like a separate section.
This is very interesting. So let's
Yeah.
say, why do you think 𝗔𝗯ance gives such returns versus JVC? You're lucky if you just get out at OP, while you're still off plan.
True.
Okay.
I think for 𝗔𝗯ance, I think it's generally quite an old area, right? I think the strip of where the metro is with, Azizi and Avenue, those are like 10-year-old buildings. So
And Discovery Gardens is nearby, right?
just opposite, but also a lot of, dated buildings by Nakheel. I think there are a few new off-plan projects by decent developers that's bringing a fresh, breath of life in that area. I think the accessibility to the area is bar none, right? You have 2-3 metros right in front, 2 minutes to Sheikh Zayed Road. All of these are sales pitches that actually make sense because you can verify it. And you're not too far from the new airport, but not too close. You don't want to live right beside it.
Okay.
So there's a lot of good things going for it. And I think that is where it gives me the confidence as an area that would sprout out in 2 years, 3 years time as Dubai also move more southwards. So I really like that. Then I look at the developer. It's quite a new developer. I bought as it's their second project.
Okay.
But the first project.
What's the name of the developer?
Pure Go Living. So
see, I'm in real estate. I haven't even heard of them.
yeah, because they only have one delivered project called PG Upper House, also in 𝗔𝗯ance. And if you compare the rents that they get versus the overall 𝗔𝗯ance area, they are like 20-30% higher.
And how did you find this project? Were you working with a broker or you did it yourself?
So it's a broker now, also a friend whom I know for almost a year now.
Okay.
So he wanted to sell me something, but by then I bought something. We stayed in touch. He was someone that always gives his views, like very unfiltered views as well, which I love.
Have you ever met brokers where you felt like they were so pushy and they just wanted to sell you anything? Like, give us the worst story that you've ever faced with a Dubai real estate broker.
That's the JVC.
Tell us.
1 bedroom that I bought. So I think that's when it's 2023. I think that was when JVC is still a hot area.
And okay, before we progress into that, why do you think JVC potentially now is not the best area to invest in?
It is the supply and demand dynamics is just a bit imbalanced. The number of handovers versus the number of actual tenants is quite challenging. I think, yes, they have done some good infrastructural improvements to make it more livable, but it is still the
What about
concentration is
accessibility? We
crazy.
talked about roads, we talked about location, metro. Is there a metro that's going to be going to JVC?
On the website, yes, but it's not yet announced, and
Okay.
also where the location is, we still don't quite know.
Okay. So tell us the story
yeah.
about the JVC. I'm dying to hear.
So that was when I knew nothing. I really, when you are a fresh investor, all you know is social media. All you see is what are the billboards on the road, and then that's where you form your idea of what is a good developer and what is not. At that point in time, all I knew was JVC was an area that was hot. It's where most Brits after living in Marina will go to after that. So there is a demand there. But man, I think it was through a confluence of, very pushy sales tactic. Like, this is the last unit. This is, this, I can't hold this unit for very long. The sales office is giving me trouble because you did not confirm your EOIs in time. And
So guilt tripping you, I guess, a little
it's
bit?
a very emotional blackmail is what I would use, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, it feels very uncomfortable. And when that happens and you kind of default back to, okay, I can afford it because the payment plan seems decent, and you're like, halas, I'm just gonna take it and see how it goes. I think that is where is the combination of these factors that led me to making that decision. But also as an investor, there's a bit of intuition, right? And I think you as a seasoned investor, you have that intuition of whether the product's good or not, and how you feel after you invest. I did not feel good after investing.
But you're lucky you got the money out, because I have a lot of clients call me, please sell, please sell. They're like, because maybe they cannot continue with the payments, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of Russians bought, and now to get money into here is less easy, or maybe their financial situation changed, and they cannot sell it. And sometimes they have to really cut their losses, perhaps even lose the money.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize in Dubai that if you don't continue the payment, the developer has the right to take the property off you.
So scary. That's why when I buy properties, I need to know that I can afford the whole thing, not just 30, 40, or just when it's flippable.
But why did you decide to sell this JVC unit and not wait until it's completed?
So 2 things. I think number one, I think there are definitely better opportunities out there. So it's more like, I think from how I allocate my money perspective, it's just cutting my losses. B, I also think that there is a risk of, if this developer for some weird reason delays, and they can delay for up to a year, I believe, then I'm in the thick of when all the projects are handing over in 2026, 2027. And by then, actually, the value will be even harder to resell, and I actually have to sell at a loss. So comparing, selling an OP and cutting my losses versus waiting 2 years to get a higher probability of a loss, the math ain't mathing. So that's why I want to sell it now.
And I will not ask you what developer it is,
Yeah.
just in case.
Just
I don't
in
know,
case,
maybe tell
just
me
in
off the
case.
camera.
Yeah.
But what I found super interesting is that you give very honest advice on your page, and you do reviews of projects. And then you posted something saying that, I apologize to this developer for giving my feedback on the project. I didn't mean it.
Yeah.
And whatever, I forgot what you said.
Yeah.
And that a lot of people wrote under that post saying that to the developer, let's say developer
Yeah.
X, you actually just made it worse for yourself. People should have their freedom to speak out.
Yeah.
It's just your opinion. And that's what I find very sad. Because the same thing happened to me once. I've done a video in a development. It was actually not targeted to the developer at all. It was a joke. All of my videos are a joke. And I got a legal notice saying that remove it immediately.
Yeah.
So, so I just wanted to say, like, how did you feel about that? Are you going to stop giving authentic reviews now? And
No, I hear you. I think this is the environment we live in, so we just have to be a bit more careful. I think it's also very good learning for me, in terms of how I want to still remain my authenticity and my fact-based approach. But I think, I think it's just thinking a bit twice before, or just kind of like reviewing what I am putting out there before I send. But I think, it's just a good lesson. I think it's a good lesson. It's a good learning. Very, thankful for the support, because it means I'm doing something right. But equally, I think it's also, hopefully through this, people can make their own judgments better, right?
And not believe everything that people are trying to tell them, especially, I'm in real estate, but especially sales brokers. Sometimes all they want is commission, and of course, there's exceptions to the rule.
Exceptions.
And
they
might,
good projects.
and they're good brokers and good projects for sure.
100%.
But sometimes, if the commission incentive is so high and the broker really wants that money, like I always advise people to do their own research and maybe message you. Maybe you need to start a consultancy.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Thanks.
Can you tell us about the tool that you were offering? I think it was a paid tool. Yeah, calculator.
Of course, it's a very simple Google Sheet. So anyone with a Gmail account, you can just get it.
You started this. I think that was one of your first products.
I was giving it for free for a long time until a very good friend say, like, look, like if it's very valuable, people would pay for it. And for me, there are two purposes. It's a very simple template. You literally need to just plug in 4 to 6 numbers, which your broker should give you if it's worth its salt. And it should spit out what the likely capital appreciation could look like for an off-plan project, or what the rental ROI could be net at handover. I think, the moment it looks complex, because I know, not everyone loves Excel as much as I do, but once you explain the logic, it's actually quite simple. What is it today? What is the growth rate historically? What do you think the growth rate could look like? Let's not be over enthusiastic. Let's take a haircut. When is the project handing over? Do the basic math. And then you compound to get what the rent or the appreciation could look like. And then how much are you paying it for?
Is it specific to locations, or is it just general?
So it's specific to, there's an off-plan template and there's a ready template. The off-plan template, I think it's a very generic template, but the beauty is, as I mentioned, the Dubai Land Department's data is so accessible.
Where do you go? Share, please, with our viewers.
Beirut transactions.
Where do you go to find your data? If somebody now is watching us and they're new to Dubai, they want to make their own research, what are the first few places you would go to find data?
100%.
Okay.
So for anything related to numbers, which I love, it's always Beirut transaction. I love the interface. It's the same data from DLD. You can look at actual units so that you can make good comparables, and the filters are very
And you don't need
easy.
to be a broker.
No, it's free.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's free. I love it. Then, of course, there's DXB Interact, which is also most brokers use as well. That's a good runner-up if you want to get a quick assessment of averages. I think that's always helpful. That's where the numbers are. Then the service charges, the Dubai Land Department website just tells you what the service charges are. Also very simple.
So just, guys, Google Dubai Land Department service charges, takes you to the official service charges of Land Department that have been approved by Land Department.
100%.
Yeah.
And for off-plan projects, of course, sometimes they don't have that number yet. So ask your broker. They should give you a number. If not, look at what the surrounding buildings in the area are and use that as a good benchmark. So simple as that. Really easy to use. Then I also personally like to use propsearch.ae. So that I always say is like a Wikipedia for all the projects. So chuck a name in there. They'll tell you the developer, the contractor they may be using, the architects, which gives you a good sense of what are the track record, if it's a new developer, of what they're using. They are also, for ready buildings, they also tell you when it's handed over. So you know how old a building is and things like that, which is quite helpful. And I used to complement that with the Dubai Rest app that also tells you the same information.
Okay.
Yeah.
And another one, you can Google Dubai Land Department Project Tracker, and it actually gives you the completion status of each project
Love
and
it.
pictures of the report where
Yeah.
the project is at. So
Precisely.
if you've already invested or you're looking to buy something off plan, but on the secondary market, you can go there and have a look at
Very
the
good
progress.
tip. Yeah, I use that a lot as well.
Yeah, so.
And the final point, I think probably is in the same tracker I see on a Dubai Rest app is they would show the different unit mix. Because if you're looking at capital appreciation, you want to be a rare commodity. So if your unit type, there's like say 700 one-bedrooms, buying a one-bedroom is quite unlikely to give you capital appreciation because you're competing with 699 others. And if everyone's selling at the same time, multiply that by 3 because each listing can have 3 brokers. You will be one of 1,800 listings.
I like this. So download Dubai Rest app. Do you need to already own a property to be able to log in? You can just log in, and then which section do you go to? And then which section do you go to there? Because there's so much happening in Dubai
it's a lot,
Rest app.
huh?
Yeah. And for
it's
me, like I
amazing.
log in as a broker, I log in as an owner. Yeah.
Okay.
So which section do you
individual,
go?
I think.
Okay. You want to check?
Yeah, I can check.
Because I think that's important. This is such a good tool. That
I log in using my UAE pass.
Yeah.
So
but then
it's
which
just,
section do you go to?
Yeah.
Would be good too.
Very good. Very good shout. I go to services. My start section, I have a few.
Okay.
E-card verification to check, whether or not I think the broker is legit. I guess.
Yeah, that's good. By the way, that's very important. You can use the Buy Rest app to see if your broker is registered.
Correct. So important.
Because what happened once, we had a client knock on our door in the office saying that I'm looking for, let's say, Ali. He works here and he shows like a broker card or something. He gave this Ali cash. That person said that they work in Dacha, they faked receipts and everything, and we never had this person work for us. So please, guys, if you're ever giving money to any broker, first of all, please use transfer to the actual company account. Don't
100%.
give cash to brokers. You don't know where it's going to end up, and verify that they're registered.
Yeah, that's my first one.
This is really good, okay.
The second one is inquiry about real estate project status. This is what you were saying. So this is the one where I'll click on it, and you can search for any project, and then I have multiple projects I follow.
Can I also say one more thing?
Hit me, tell me.
A lot of developers are selling projects that do not have an escrow account yet, which is illegal. All money that's due to the project needs to be going into a project escrow account. So I believe there you can see if the project is registered, correct?
The bank details will also be in the
yes,
project status
the escrow.
as well.
Escrow account needs to be registered with the Dubai Land Department.
Correct.
What this means is that all the money going to the escrow account for the project will be used for the construction of the project only.
Correct.
And the developer cannot just take the money and run away.
Yeah.
So amazing tool for
it's
investors.
so important for buyers protection as well because of this protection, right? And I think this also goes to show how much the Dubai government is really protecting both investors and buyers because of all these new mechanisms they set up, to safeguard investors. So important, especially for new untested developers. An escrow account is a must.
Yeah, for sure.
Without saying, I'm not even going to entertain that as well.
And the good thing now, because I've been here in 2008 when the market crashed, this is when all these rules started happening for developers, because a lot of developers back in the day did not own the piece of land that they're building on. So what happened was, once everything collapsed, the land was also taken away from them. So investors lost all the money. But currently in Dubai, the developers need to own the land 100% before even applying for escrow, which is also like safety for investors.
I love it. It's very mature, like more than a lot of global cities, I believe, which I think is super cool.
So let us know where the numbers are.
And then the last one is a rental index.
Okay.
Rental index.
To calculate by how much you can increase the rent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's
important. But you said that you can get in Dubai Rest some stats.
This stats, is what right?
We opened,
So let's say projects followed. Let's say I will go with Oxford Gardens. That's the one that's heading over. So it will look something like this. It will tell you the completion status.
Wow, okay.
It will tell you.
And then you said by
date,
unit numbers.
By unit type. So if you scroll a bit down, you'll see commercial and residential.
That's why I love meeting people who are like outside of the real estate industry, because I learn from you. That's incredible.
So I love it because you see how many studio units. You see how many 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and.
Very good.
And then that's where
and the escrow account details here,
which is so important. So good point that you made as well. I'm learning from you, so I love it. So it's anyone can log in. So I think that's so why good. I thought it was
to buy Rest app then.
Yes,
and that's another important thing about rental index calculator that you just brought up. A lot of investors don't know that they cannot just increase rents as they go. Rent increase needs to happen with 90 days notice,
Yeah.
and only as per Dubai rental increase
yeah,
calculator.
Precisely. Also, I think it's a very good step to not fuel a bubble where everyone's talking about. I think it just makes it a lot more grounded to economics.
Yeah, and secure for everybody.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is that. But tell me about you, because you have been in this industry for very long. What is like one or two things that you like to share? I'm sure there's a lot. So
what I like to share, because I've seen like the market really go down, etc. What I like that you said is be a bit conservative. What I don't like currently that people are saying, yes, we're seeing an upward growth.
Yeah.
And all the projections that developers are making is based on this upward growth. But we had a lot of strange things happen in the past 5 years, right?
True.
We had 2020,
Yep.
am I allowed to say? Whatever, the outbreak.
Yep.
And after that, the prices really peaked because in 2019, it was quite
high.
Stable. No,
Stable.
like, like there was no increase.
Got you,
and then
got
like
you.
all of a sudden prices dipped and then they increased.
Right.
And then the conflict with Russia and Ukraine,
Yeah.
that also made a lot of people come here.
True.
And obviously things now in Europe, political unrest, taxes.
Correct.
So this is why we're seeing such an increase in Dubai, but it doesn't mean it's going to continue happening, and it doesn't mean it's not going to continue happening.
True.
But people don't have a crystal ball.
The universal thing is no one can predict the future.
Exactly.
Precisely.
And that's why, like, for me, because I've been here for such a long time and I don't like to promise something that I cannot deliver on. So I never tell my clients that you will make this money. And maybe that's why I'm not a good salesperson. you know?
I think the definition of a good salesman
It's different for everyone, you know?
Correct. I think ethics and expectations management, some can say that's
Exactly.
actually the defining features of being a good salesperson.
Yes,
So-
but I'm sure somebody who is promising like crazy stuff is selling more than I am. You know
I
what
do
I mean?
hear that from a few buyers. They will always talk to a few brokers. They do talk to many nowadays, and they go with whichever gives them a higher number, which is
And where's this number given from?
precisely it's a bit it's very concerning, especially if they're putting their lifetime savings on it. It's just going to be
And another
crazy.
thing, what's concerning to me is all these off-plan brokers, and respect to many, there's many good ones. I have a lot of friends who are very good ones, but
Same.
some who just came to Dubai. They have no experience in real estate. They have no financial background. They could have been, I don't know,
Doing
anything
something
not related.
occupation.
Yeah,
Yes.
Some other occupation that has nothing to do with finance. And
Yeah.
then they're sitting in front of you, giving you numbers
Yeah.
out of where,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
it's very dangerous.
and for me, I said this once on a podcast, and I don't think many people liked it, but I said, you are not a real estate broker until you've actually done secondary market. Because people who are just selling off plan, they're salespeople. We just established they're not financial advisors. Most of them, they don't have financial background. And all they have is a project and they need to pitch it to you. So a lot of them are just aggressive salespeople. But if you are a broker who is in the secondary market, first of all, we need to do the RARA course, which off-plan brokers don't. You know what I mean? We need to know the laws. We need to understand what it takes to rent a property. We need to understand what happens like with tenants, service charges. Off-plan
Right.
brokers don't know any of this because they don't. Their only thing is like to get you to sign the SPA.
And
That's
then that
it.
job is done.
Yeah.
That is very concerning.
Maintenance of apartments,
Precisely.
selling a ready unit, how much it takes to actually go and to do the viewings and to
Yeah.
pitch it and to explain everything.
Yeah.
Finishings of the materials, off-plan broker, sometimes they know there's no even show apartment.
No, I agree. And I think with secondary, do you think it is like a rite of passage to become a good broker is to do secondary? I feel like from what I'm hearing, it sounds like it's because they just have to be better listeners. They have to be better problem solvers, basically, solving the problems or the desires of the client. And I think the nitty-gritty details, I think it's
Because there's a product. Off-plan, you're selling like
a brochure.
Exactly, a
Yeah.
dream.
Yeah.
But with secondary, you're selling the product, you're going to the buildings, you experience everything. You can experience the service of the building, dealing with people. As I said, rentals, like I always tell my brokers who start with rentals. that's how you understand the whole process, you know. That's how you see a lot of units because it's so fast-paced.
Yeah.
You deal with the maintenance needs of tenants.
So true. And is
So-
Dacha quite secondary
Yeah,
and
we're
written?
secondary. Yeah, that's why.
I
Like, you
like
know,
that.
we
Yeah.
talked on Instagram,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
"Do you invest in off-plan?" And
Yeah.
honestly, my experience with off-plan has not been pleasant, to be honest. So,
Okay. Yeah.
I love getting something that's like tangible,
Yeah.
seeing it, etc.
Correct. It's a lot of money. You want to see what you're buying.
Exactly.
If
So one
it-
interesting thing
Tell
about
me.
I think you wanted to ask me what's my favorite project that I bought and what's my worst.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll start with the worst.
Okay.
Off-plan.
Oh, okay. Let's go.
Okay. So it was off-plan secondary, so off-plan resale.
Mm-mm.
I never actually went to a developer to buy anything, to be honest.
Mm.
It was a 2-bedroom apartment.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good price at that point of time.
Mm-hmm.
For example, 2-bedroom, we bought it, let's say, at 900,000, but 2 bedrooms in JLT at that time were maybe 1.2 million. So we thought, you know, we'd buy it. It would be a nice, easy flip, etc. Anyways, what happened? Project was delayed, maybe by 3 years. And then they made us, because it was a cancelled project, they made us pay a success fee.
Okay.
So for basically, they sent out an email saying that if you want us to complete this project, we need this much money. Otherwise, because like I said, it was a cancelled project.
Right.
So 100K extra we paid, delayed. Then instead of a 2-bedroom, it was a 1-bedroom.
Is this allowed?
Like, because it was a cancel, like at that time, at that point, you were just like happy that you're actually getting
Get
something.
tangible.
And yeah, so then we ended up investing to actually convert it to a 2-bedroom because all our calculations were based on that. But the
But-
positivity, at least we got the project.
Yeah.
Then what else?
That must be horrible.
Now we're fine. Like that's, and I always say, think of real estate as long-term game.
100%.
So this was maybe 10 years ago. Now we're winning. Now maybe it is worth like 1.4, 1.5.
Yeah.
So
but
we
you
waited through.
annualize it over 10
Yes,
years.
exactly.
Right? The returns will still not be maybe as exciting. And also the agony and the stress that you must face, that's also not worth it.
But I'm just grateful that like now it's actually quite a nice unit, etc.
hear.
Rent return is good.
Good to hear.
But at that point it was stressful. Another off-plan story.
Tell me.
Delayed for sure.
Yeah.
But the one that it's in Business Bay. It was delayed, and then it was handed over smaller.
Oof. And could you claim back the amount?
The developer called me. They said, we will give you an extra parking and a service charge waiver. But at least they were ready to negotiate.
That's quite nice.
And then I said, it already came with 2 parkings, 1 bedroom. So I'm like, I don't need an extra parking. They're like,
For
okay,
one
we'll give
bedroom.
you, we'll give you like, I don't know, 5-year service charge waiver. I said, no. I negotiated to have some cash and some service charge waiver. So that was
Correct.
fine.
Yeah.
But still, if you're an end user and you did want that 1 bedroom plus study and then you receive one that doesn't have a study, it could be quite sad, right?
It's just not what you paid for.
Yeah.
Full stop, period. It's not. If you buy, I don't know, if you buy something, clothes off Amazon or whatever brand, and it's not what you want, you return it.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. And now my agent yesterday came to talk to me. He said, Alessia, imagine my client. Well, I shouldn't say. I want to say where it is. Basically, townhouse.
yeah.
He bought a townhouse. The floor plan was supposed to be totally different, and now he gets handover, and it's not the same.
Yeah. And I can say that this is probably more common than people think. It
That's
sounds
good
like.
to hear.
Um,
Have you had such instances, or you?
so not yet.
Because they're still under construction.
Yes,
Okay.
touch wood.
Okay.
My first off-plan hands over in the coming months, so I'll let you
Okay.
know.
Where is
Instagram.
that?
Oxford Gardens by Iman Developers at Arjan.
In Arjan, okay.
I'm
I
quite
love
excited.
Arjan, by the way. I think this is one project that's so underrated. Area.
Yeah,
It
I
doesn't have
agree.
that much traffic as some other ones. It has like a really nice, cozy vibe.
Yeah.
And the projects there that are coming are actually quite luxurious for
I
the
quite
area
like-
and for the price.
100%. And also, there are schools there. There's like some tourist attractions there, so it's quite versatile.
Okay, so having
I'm quite
said
excited.
that,
Yeah.
give me your top 3 to 5 locations that you think now is a really good time to invest in. See?
Question 1.
Mm-hmm.
What is the investing objective? Because is it capital gains or rental ROI? Both will have very different answers.
Okay, so give us for both. If ROI versus
Yeah.
capital gains.
So for capital, let's start with capital gains. I think the scarcity is always king. So it's always waterfront projects and or townhouse villas in communities by good developers, master communities and good developers with a small amount of units.
Okay,
So there are communities
we can
with
we
a
can
lot.
name good. Yeah. So who do
Yeah.
you consider to be a good developer for villa projects?
at least based on my research, because I haven't
Yeah.
bought one myself. I think the likes of Eldar, Dubai Holdings, Miras, Ema, it's fine. I think with Ema, it also depends on which community. I think that one, there are variations in the different qualities, so just do your homework.
You didn't mention Damak, but Damak does have good communities. Like Damak Hills, by the way, it's complete, and I love the community. We invested there before. No, but Damak on secondary, we made money. Secondary off-plan resale.
Yeah.
And a lot of my clients, they say, we don't like Damak. But I think it's so important to say, and I'm not like promoting Damak or whatever, that yes, in 2008, some developers did go through tough times because a lot of developers disappeared.
Yeah.
But the fact that Damak actually stayed and rebuilt their brand, and now they're actually like giving projects on time.
True.
And the villa communities, like I think Damak Lagoons has a huge potential. Actually thinking to invest there now. We have a lot. There's a lot of resale transactions happening because, as you said, I think townhouses, for me, if I was to invest, it would be townhouses, villas. And that's where, by the way, my other success story, that's where I made a lot of money. Villa and beachfront.
There you go.
That was my favorite and the biggest win.
Good at my
Colossal
hypothesis is
W.
validated. Precisely. I think the thing with Damak, back to your point, I agree. I think that's why I say they don't fit in the category of small amount of units. That is the thing. So yes, developer-wise, well-known, master communities still check, but the scarcity is not quite there yet.
Interesting. Okay.
Is that to say that there is no demand? No, because they attack a very different segment of customers. It's the affordable villa living, the 2.5 3 million dirham bucket, which hopefully there'll be more to come, given how as I said, globally we're attracting these tenant profiles. So I think it'll be exciting to see what it is. I think even within Damak itself, I believe you have the apartment types, you have the villa townhouses type, which I think is an attractive segment, and you have the luxury apartments, that they're also trying to venture into. Yeah. I think the proof is in the pudding until they actually deliver it, and then people can make the judgment for themselves whether or not it's 2008 Damak or it's a 2028 Damak, which is a fresh.
No, but like I said, Damak Hills, because we do a lot of ready villas there, like obviously secondary sale. Yeah. Beautiful community. Very, very nice. So, and I drove into Damak Lagoons for something, and a lot of the villas are already ready and are looking very nice.
Awesome.
Not promoting, just saying.
But stamp of
this
approval.
Needs to be totally, what I love about this podcast, you are totally impartial. You're basing it on your own advice, and I'm not off plan, so also for me it's impartial advice. So I think viewers can
share your personal opinion based on what you see.
Exactly.
I think that's good.
Okay, and now we talked about capital appreciation. ROI.
Rental ROI. Yeah. So I personally, my feeling about JVC. So I personally think the good areas in at least the 2 to 3 years will be the surrounding areas of JVC.
Arjan?
Yeah, Arjan.
And what about JVT? Quite close?
JVT, depends on the price per square feet. It's okay. That's okay. I think, all this kind of like sports city, production city,
I want to
this kind of areas.
Tell you something about JVT. I was recently at the launch for a developer, and this is like a really fun fact. And new development, very nice. And one of their pitches was 5 minutes away from Blue Waters.
That's not true.
That's what I thought. And I'm like, it's not true. And I'm like, how is it possible? JVT 5 minutes away from Blue Waters. But that's the fun fact. Where the development is, it's right on that straight road, 𝗔𝗯ance 𝘂𝘁, that takes you to Blue Waters.
So you check on Google and it's true.
And you see, like,
your jaw dropped probably.
It did. I was like, what? Google Maps showed 9 minutes, by the way.
Yeah.
But the salesperson who was like their director of sales, when he was doing the presentation, he said, guys, I also didn't expect it, but I sat in the car and I did manage to get to Blue Waters in 5 minutes driving normally because he has just a straight road. And I think a lot of people don't realize great location of JVT in terms of accessibility.
100%.
Like to Marina and all that. And it's quite different from JVC.
Very different. And also there used to be a gated villa community, right? So there's a lot of low rises. So the buildings around it don't have, like, you're not seeing your neighbors living room.
Which is
I think is quite good
it's
also.
Interesting.
Yeah,
because I think JVC, the problem there is the traffic, right?
traffic
and like
the
getting
density.
the density of
The density. I think the master community planning was, it's not a master community.
Okay.
That's as
So
well.
then we touched base on our 𝗔𝗯. Is
Yeah.
that something that you think will have good?
I like it a lot.
For 𝗔𝗯?
For 𝗔𝗯, I love. Yeah, I think those are the areas that I think for me is like the 2 to 3 year. You'll see that happening, and then there's like the 3 to 5 year type, like the Dubai Land residential complex area, the Silicon Oasis area.
Tell us about your highest ROI project. Now you're saying you're renting something for 10%
Well
rent return.
remembered. Yeah, so it's a 1-bedroom at Silicon Oasis. I bought it at 500,000 dirhams, and I'm renting it at 55,000 dirhams.
Wow. So minus the service charges, it gives you 10%.
Which is pretty good.
And this is what I want to share with the audience. If you are looking for a project that will give you high ROI, look in the areas that are lower end.
Yeah.
We can even say Discovery Gardens. We can say International City, which is like insane. But you can buy a apartment in International City for around $300,000, $100,000.
Yeah, and they're also still going up and up and up.
Yeah. By the way, fun fact: my first property, it was a gift from my mom. Yeah, people always like to say that I'm a rich bee, but whatever. No,
that's great. Okay, International City.
But yeah, because when I graduated, I think it's so nice for parents to give their children, and that's what I want to do for my son, a base.
Okay.
And I'm not embarrassed to say that, yes, my mother helped me.
Yeah.
What I'm proud of myself for is that I managed to continue growing it.
100%.
My mother, by the way, founded Dacha. Because you asked the question, like, what made you start Dacha? My mother founded Dacha in 2004.
Okay.
And in 2008, I graduated, and that's when the crisis happened. She's like, Alessia, I can't do this anymore. Try, and if you don't like it, you can go back to, I wanted to be a nutritionist doctor, etc. You can, we can close the business or whatever. So, yes, she gave me the starting point. But
some you made out of it, no?
Some rich kids, they fail. Like I know so many rich kids who they're so comfortable with their life because their parents are providing for them. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
They're just enjoying life. So I had a hater on my Instagram saying like, "Oh, you're nothing. You just do TikToks and your parents gave you the business." But it's not the case. Like my mother gave me the business when when the business was 10 people, and now it's 150 people and 3 branches, so it's like, yes, I had
and 17 years across multiple crises, no?
Exactly.
08, 14, 2020.
Exactly.
Like I think it takes a bit of resilience or a lot of resilience to go through that and still be successful in this age, right?
Yeah.
So
International City. My mom gave International City.
One of
that's
the highest ROI places
yes,
as well.
That's why I know International City. I think a lot of brokers who are even in Dubai don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
But that's where you can buy the cheapest property if you're like totally entry level and still get high ROI.
Yeah.
I had one of our landlords for the offices, Pakistani, super wealthy, super wealthy. All his investments are in there. There's something else called Q Point or something beside International City.
Is
in there because of ROI. Yes, because of the ROI. So if you are going to buy luxury properties such as Palm Jumeirah villas, it's a good safety net for you to keep the value and potentially have capital appreciation, but do not expect to have high ROI.
No,
and
precisely.
But then, do you think if prices do dip, do you think places like International City, Sport City will have like a higher dip or not really?
It's a very good question because I have not been here long. I've been here for 5 years in Dubai and real estate for 2.5, 3 years.
In real estate
researching,
yes.
investing, not
because
actually.
You're not a Dubai
not
broker.
Not a Dubai broker. I need to double click on that. So I'm excited to see what would happen. I do think that there's two things, right? The first one is most of the rents are long term, so it's not as if overnight it would just drop. There'll be cancellations and things like that, but the prices don't adjust overnight. So that's important. I think the second part is also the fact that the tenant profile in this area tend to be more, lower to middle like income. So and those, this segment is such an important segment to drive Dubai's economy. It's quite unlikely that they will go away as well. Compared to the more kind of white collar, middle, high income jobs. True. So there's an element of stability there that I think would be essential to hopefully shelter some of this volatility in the market. But only time will tell.
Yeah. So International City unit that I had, it was a bit too far. I was young at that time, maybe 20 or 21 when I got the unit. I decided to sell it and buy a Discovery Gardens. It's a studio that I bought at 315,000. Why I'm telling you this? At one point, I was renting it at 55,000.
No.
Yeah, and like so basically I think the rent already paid for itself, like I don't know how many times, and now I'm not renting it too high, but I think it's still giving like around 8% return. I don't even remember that I have
It's
it.
so good. I think it's amazing, and I think that's the thing with you know my logic or my approach of investing, right? It's very numbers driven. It's you are not buying out of emotion, you're not buying out of vanity. You should not be embarrassed if something's making you 10% ROI.
Exactly. Like banks are what we was giving 6% at one point, now they dropped it to 5%.
Yeah, and now even 4+%, which is still great. But it's kind of, at the end of the day, we're all in Dubai to, you know, make our money work, right? And therefore, it's not about buying assets that you can brag about. Sometimes it's the ones that are more humble that gives you the most returns.
That's 100%.
Yeah, which I think is super exciting and interesting, because then that really fits into, you know, my brand. I mean, I'm wearing like a very cheap everything. You know, people have told me so many times on my social media, Key, you know, get a better camera and get a mic. And I'm like, no, because like A, I don't have time to make videos. It's only a weekend thing. B, I believe that it's my approach and my authenticity that helps me get to, you know, a decent, you know, following.
15,000 followers, I'm telling you, it's huge. And I go to so many seminars, people say the most important thing, experts, is to be authentic. So do not listen to what people are telling you, like you don't have to wear a suit or whatever. You have to be your authentic self. No, that's what people love. And even like I never use like filters. And when I record stuff, like even if I don't like something, I keep it raw, because people do not want filters. People do not want fancy editing. They just want the truth. And I think this is why, because you bring so much value. As you said, your videos are not like fancy or whatever, but people love it.
I take it like that. It's horrible.
But the content that you give, the value that you give
I appreciate it.
That's what matters.
No, I appreciate it. And I also, you know, echo that back to you, right? I think it's the, people can smell, you know, inauthenticity or fakeness from a mile away. So I think at your natural self, if you're comfortable, people also who watches your videos also feel comfortable. And I think that is something I also feel like you captured, you know, quite well in your social media, in your reels. I think it's a very light-hearted environment that you've created in Dacha. I just don't understand, is it really like that in your office? Are people, you know, just really, you know, working hard but also playing hard? You know, they take themselves seriously for work but also take themselves not very seriously. Is that a good...
Yes, I think it is. I don't know if people who work in my company will agree or not, but yeah, like, you know what I mean? Because sometimes what the boss thinks is totally different from what the others think. But the feedback that I do receive from our recruitment team, from people who have come from other companies or industries or, you know, competitors, they told me that the culture that we've managed to create in Dacha is so unique and actually so difficult to build. And this is what makes our company special. And this is why we have a very, very low staff turnover. Like in real estate, usually, you know, it's like, you know, like in and out. Yeah. But for us, I think the work environment, that it is a bit lighthearted, a bit fun, but also, of course, it's commission driven. You know, we want to do well. And we incentivize people who do well, like with different gifts, apart from just, you know, higher commission slabs, but, you know, top earners receive Rolexes, plus we give like luxury gifts. I think,
awesome.
I think the work environment is good, is great. And in terms of my own content, sometimes I do look at it and I'm like, am I pushing the boundaries? Am I being too silly? But I think social media, people want to get value. They want to be entertained. And they want to be inspired. And I don't think somebody opens Instagram to look at very serious videos.
That's YouTube for that.
Exactly. And that's why I think that creating something fun and engaging, I guess that became my brand. Yes, sometimes maybe I am a bit too silly, but, you know, from what I understand, people like it, and I get a lot of positive feedback. And obviously my account is growing, so I must be doing something right.
Yeah.
And also the super interesting thing, when newbies start, a lot of the newbies are there like because of my social media.
100%.
So the personal brand that I have managed to create, the impact it's actually having on the company is huge.
No, it's amazing. And do you see Dacha scaling? Now you have a team of 150. Is the aim to go a lot bigger, or is to kind of say, look, we're at a very good place, I just want, I like things the way they are.
You know, humans in general will always want more.
Yeah.
Always. There will never be a stage, like for me at least, like, oh, that's it, I have enough. I think humans are not like that. Humans always want, like, especially me, I want to become better. I want to educate myself. Of course, I want the company to improve. Not just, it's not just about the number of agents. I want things to improve. I want to have, let's say, for all my agents to be like amazing. I want to have, let's say, better offices, etc. Like, no, of course I want to develop. But what Dacha has done differently compared to other brokerages, it was never like growth. It was organic growth. Yes, we organically managed to scale, and maybe I lost out. Maybe I should have grown more, like, how can I say, aggressively.
Yeah.
But I think that's what makes women and men a bit different. Like, I think women are more conservative, less risk averse. And honestly, if I didn't have my husband, who is my partner in the business, I wouldn't have grown at all, I think.
Is it a good balance?
Yes. And he's the one who's pushing. Now looking back, of course, I'm like, I wish I took more risk. I wish I grew faster.
But hindsight is always 2020, right? I think,
So,
if you had a crystal ball of...
But overall, when I look at my company, I'm extremely proud.
Of course you
We've
should.
built an amazing team. And yes, maybe we're not as big as some other agencies, but the quality is there. The environment is there. So... future, of course, I do want to grow.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying like double or whatever, but I do want to grow. That's like every year I just want to be better than the
It's
previous.
good to have the hunger and the ambition, right? I think in an industry that's very competitive and that's growing, the size of the pie is growing.
Yeah.
So it's natural to say I want to be part of this growth as well.
But for me, the people in my company and my clients come first, and the money is just the result. The result of the good work we do. So I'm not driven by money.
Awesome to hear. And you mentioned about the woman risk averse, husband more aggressive. Well, today is International Women's Day,
Oh yeah, true.
right?
I should have worn pink, but
No.
I'm wearing blue.
It's all about like appreciating everyone and everyone having a voice, right? I think maybe for you, I'm just keen to understand what is your challenges that you have faced throughout your real estate career,
as a woman.
Yeah, if any.
People love asking that, know, in Dubai. And I think it's, what did you say, 2020 question? Like, it's quite an old question, because in Dubai, especially, you feel so safe as a woman.
100%.
So, and in Dubai, like, there's no harassment, there's no...
discrimination
and like inequality is the word I was looking for.
Got you. Yeah.
And even you feel advantages in a way. Like, for example, you have a separate queue for women. I don't know if they still have it, but I remember when I went to renew my car registration, there was a separate queue, so you do everything much faster, and when you go into a government institution as a woman, there's a women's queue, and you're treated with such respect, as long as also you're respectful to the culture. Because I grew up here, for me, it's sometimes sad to see the culture a little bit, like the lines being skewed, like girls walking around Dubai Marina and like barely covering themselves. I don't like that, because like I said, I grew up here. I was always conservative and respectful to Dubai. I love that. That culture is so important,
It's very true. Yeah. I mean, having lived in Singapore and London, where the gender equality is a lot more
fair, you
pronounced.
Think? Oh, inequality or
equality?
Equality,
right? I think when I moved to Dubai, I think I was also very surprised at how
well women are treated.
Precisely. Not even treated, it's just like...
In general.
It's seen as an equal.
Yeah. And really people a lot, like from London, Daily Mail loves to say like bad stuff about Dubai. And like, well, it's the complete opposite. When people come here, they realize like it's great for everyone,
100%. No, I'm with you. It's a good place to invest. It's a good place to live.
So is Dubai the future then for investment?
I hope so. I think... people always also ask me the question that I get asked a lot is, for some reason they think I know, would Dubai see a correction or a crash, as if I know the answer. I'm like, I know as much as the next person. I know
Nobody knows.
No one knows. All I always say, and it sounds a bit diplomatic, is the rulers have a plan to where they want to get to in 2040, and they are building towards that plan. It's a long-term plan. 2040 is still 15 years away. If they want to establish themselves to become like the likes of Singapore, Hong Kong, and where the price per square feet is a multitude of 2, 3, 5, 10x higher, maybe that's where Dubai's real estate investment will grow. Okay,
because by the way, Dubai is still cheaper than other central parts of the world, such as London, New York, Singapore.
The delta, it's huge.
See,
so that means
there is
a long way
potential.
Of
means it's huge.
Correct. Is it going to happen in the next 2 years? No, but it's also, does it mean it's always going to be constantly growing? Also no, because it's a very delicate equilibrium to run an industry and a country. You need to build your brand of the city so that demand will come in. You need to have enough buildings so that enough people can live in those buildings. You need to build infrastructure so that, it's such an intricate balance. There'll be years where there'll be maybe some dips here and there.
But I think Dubai is doing an amazing job. And I heard somewhere that Dubai is not just a city, it's like a marketing agency.
Yeah, I
How
heard that as well.
when I studied in Canada, nobody in Canada knew 2004. Nobody in Canada knew what Dubai was. When I went to America, like Dubai or in what state it is.
Yes.
Now everybody knows it. So
Yeah.
what it became over the years, for me, it's like, I
It's
love
so
it.
funny you say that because I almost studied in Abu Dhabi for university. I think NYU Abu Dhabi, they only opened a satellite campus in there, and they flew all the applicants to their campuses in Abu Dhabi. And back then, my parents also didn't know what the difference between Dubai and Abu Dhabi was. They were freaking out. So I can only imagine what 2004 was as well, because it must be like, what is this desert that like no one knows? Yeah.
So to finish this off, what is in plans for you for Not a Dubai Broker?
Yeah.
For your Instagram, for your investment?
For my Instagram, I would like to still continue doing what I'm doing. I think there's still a lot to learn. There are people that have been in this industry way longer than I have. I want to, learn from people like you as well, so that, I think it just broadens my knowledge and satiate my curiosity in the market. So I would love to share more with more people. As an investor, I think it's really about trying new things. I think now I experience buying off plan, buying ready, selling off plan, renting to people, having a mortgage, having no mortgage. I really like all of that. I want to challenge myself to do more. For example, buying bigger ticket items like townhouse and villas that we mentioned. Just because I think that you learn the best, you absorb the best by doing it yourself. That's also why I trust brokers who have actually bought something themselves.
Exactly, yeah.
Because they know what they're talking about. They are not regurgitating, page 17 from the RERA training course book. I literally want someone
If they pass the training.
If they pass the training.
From the brochure, you need to say.
Precisely. So I want to try new things. I'm not praying for a downturn by any means. But as an investor, I keep preaching about it's not emotions. I want to, test myself if the market does go down, how do I as myself, not a Dubai broker, react? Would I be, FOMO and trying to sell it off and, ask Alessia and your team to help me? Or do I stay firm and say, look, you know what you're doing. It's a long-term game, hold. If anything, buy new ones that you can get for cheaper. I kind of want that to happen. I kind of don't want that to happen.
You want to experience
at the same
everything,
time.
yeah.
But that's where we learn, right? I think that's where experience toughens people up as well.
And having said that you have almost 15,000 followers on Instagram, which honestly is a lot, because I have brokers who have been doing it for a long time and they struggle to reach 10,000. Is there any advice? I know you're not a social media guru. I know, but any advice that you would give to brokers who are on social media? Like, what do you think they should do different? From what I've seen so far, like the thing, be authentic, give value.
Yeah.
And like, do you feel like a lot of brokers on social media now are like just doing the same thing?
Yeah, they always talk about projects first, because I think it's a very it's a purposeful content to get leads. I think, and that's part of the job. I understand.
Do you get leads?
Yeah. But I think I get a lot starting as inquiries. Like I want to invest. How do I start? It's such an overwhelming world.
Yeah.
I think so. To your point, I think authenticity. I think giving value. I think being relatable also helps. I think in the industry people do wear suits and ties. But if you are asking true advice, generally it's who you trust, and how you convey that. I think it's gonna be very interesting, and everyone has their own style. And I think it's also establishing credibility, because anyone can go to a sales office and regurgitate the brochure, 17th floor building, G+8, blah blah blah. But I think being curious to share valuable content and being, that stands out, I think is quite interesting. So for example, there's this Gold Line Metro that was just like announced. 99% of people just repost that article with no value add. But I go to the website, I literally track where all the stations are that is not in the article, like City Walk, Jumeirah Garden City, all of these things is not in the article, but based on what I found out, this is what it could be. Am I saying that it's for sure will be there? No, there's a caveat to it. But based on what I know, this is what it means, and this is where you add value.
And then you would say that these areas where the metro station would run potentially would have capital appreciation, right?
Correct.
That's what.
Again, based on research. Simple Google. I love when you say Google, blah, blah, blah. Everything is Googleable or ChatGPT-able.
ChatGPT,
right? But Google is I'm old school. So Google is like, more what I want. And you just do your numbers and do your research. And I think people do value that. And that's where it stands out. I think the ideal situation would be when a social media account like mine just loses popularity because all the agents are doing what I'm doing. That would be the dream. Yeah.
Really?
That would be the dream, because then what it means is agents are at the right level of financial literacy, the right level of customer centricity, and the right level of competence in research and logic to really advise clients at the end of the day, which is what you also want to do, as you say.
And how many of Dubai real estate agents do you think have these attributes that you just mentioned, like percentage-wise? Like, I'm tempted to say like up to 10%.
Yeah,
max.
I was thinking 5.
Yeah, you see, so there's a lot of brokers. So to finish this off, guys, find a broker who will give you unbiased advice, who will have your interest at heart, such as not a Dubai broker who's not a broker.
I'm happy to share what I know.
And research the projects with all the tools we've mentioned. Thank you so much, Keith, for being here. Yeah, I hope you guys got value out of it. Don't forget to subscribe and follow. Much love.
Thanks.